Welcome to a relatively free-form exercise because my pre-release version that I'm using to record has a few things that we will change in later releases. So I am just going to demonstrate and talk over what this exercise is, but I do anticipate some changes and I'm not 100% sure that the changes will absolutely match this video. So use your own judgment, take this with a grain of salt, and I will demonstrate everything that you need to know about this exercise. First of all, we are talking about the document storage that Liferay has in the context of clustering. Now, technically, the way we set up Liferay in the setup that we have here with Docker containers on the same server, sharing the same volume, which we'll see here. We'll have the volume for Liferay data, and we are using the Liferay data volumes. We're using the same. This would mean that both instances, Liferay Tomcat 1 and 2, already share the same document storage, which means we are done. We have set up our cluster correctly. Now, technically, that's correct. And in the context of clustering, we want a little bit more reliability. We want a little bit more load that we can handle. So we are reconfiguring this a little bit and we're introducing a different storage format. Now, you can store Liferay documents in various backends by default. It's the so-called simple file store or just file store or file system storage. And this is where any content that we now upload would end up. So if I'm going to the Documents and Media library within my default site here, I can easily upload a basic document, and this basic document will have all of its data stored in the database, that is the metadata. It will have the full text index stored in our Elasticsearch index, and it will have the binary data stored in the document library through file system store. Now we can upload a file that we have prepared in our DevOps Tomcat, Liferay Tomcat document exercise. This is just a tiny hello text, and that's totally fine. We want to upload this file, and this file is then stored in the default storage engine. That is the file system store. Now, that being said, we'll have the file here. The next part of this exercise is we are making sure that we'll bring all of these files, all of the files that we have already uploaded into our new document storage. Of course, it's better to just configure the correct document storage immediately, but we're simulating we haven't done so yet. What we have done already is we have configured our document storage already. And this is, I'm going to show you this from the Docker files and the content here. We have already configured Advanced File System Store, which copies an OSGI config file into Liferay's OSGI configs. And what's in there is just the storage directory for Advanced File System Store, which happens to be the same as the Simple File System Store. Now, where's the difference between the two? Simple File System Store will just store all of the files in a single directory, and Advanced File System Store will create a directory substructure within that storage directory, which scales a lot better than having thousands or tens of thousands of files in a single directory. There are only very few file systems that can do that, and I rarely see them. So while we have configured Advanced File System Store, we haven't activated it yet. So currently, Liferay would know where to store if Advanced File System Store would have been used, but it's not. However, what we can do now that this is known data, we can go to Control Panel, Configuration, and Server Administration. And in here, in Data Migration, we will find an entry for Advanced File System Store. If we hadn't configured Advanced File System Store, this wouldn't be here. And what we can now do is we can ask the system to move all of the existing data into the new File System Store, which will basically shut down our portal and move all of the data over. And after that, we will need to restart with the new configuration. Let me go ahead and do that. What you'll see is you'll have an immediate system maintenance notice, which is expected. And this we can then finish, or we can then change in our configuration. Let me shut down the system. I have only Liferay Tomcat 1 running. As you might have seen, I have connected to 8081, which is Liferay Tomcat. Now what I need to do is I'll need to activate Advanced File System Store, which I'll do through my Portal Ext properties. We have already prepared it for you. It's the entrance DL store impl. Let me scroll in, zoom into here. There we are. DL store impl is Advanced File System Store. So once I have removed the comment sign here and saved the file, I can then build my container. And just to be sure I don't forget the second one, because they're all built from the same, I'm going to do this as well. And after that, I'm going to start up again. And right now, I'm happy to just restart Liferay Tomcat 1. That's fine. I know that both are configured the same way anyways. And then once this is started, I can go ahead and check the success of the Advanced File System Storage in the running installation. Now, as I've told you, we didn't really need to do this in the current situation, in the situation that we all are running all of our Tomcats in the same server, sharing the same volume for storing their data. In real life, when you are running a cluster on different machines, you need to make sure that the volume that you're mounting to every single machine actually points to the same directory. An alternative is to configure the database storage engine, where you store all of the blobs, all of the binary data in your SQL database as well. I'm mentioning this in the lecture part of this course. This is a setup that some people love because they'll find all of the data in the same database, and some people absolutely don't like because it will store loads of binary data in a relational database. And depending on the amount of your data, the size of your files, and the frequency of them being downloaded and your cache sizes, this might be prohibitive or just exactly the way to go. So we are done with configuring both cluster machines to store in the same location, and in the same progress or in the same process, we have also now configured Advanced File System Store. My recommendation is that you should configure a different store than the default file system store immediately just before the first start, and then you don't even need to go with a data migration. So now that we have started Liferay Tomcat 1 again, we can check for the success of our data migration and the use of Advanced File System Store. Well, we won't see much, but we will be able to download the document that we have uploaded, and then we can have yet another test that I will leave for you. Trust me, it will work. If everything is done correctly, we can go to Document and Media here, and after we have downloaded this file from Liferay Tomcat 1, we'll need to make sure that we can also download it from Liferay Tomcat 2. So start up your Liferay Tomcat 2 as well and download the file from there as well. Now go ahead, start Liferay Tomcat 2, validate the node name, it must be different, and then download the same document from there as well. You should first of all see it because the metadata is shared in the database, and you should be able to access it, to download it, because the binary data is in a location that can be reached by both servers.